Hazel pressed the dagger to my throat, while Scarlet performed a mesmerizing hand seal. The beauty's coffin rumbled violently, and blood-red energy flowed out like tears. "My husband, who dares to disrespect you, I'll slap them." A sharp slap echoed, blood splattering. The two enchantresses collapsed, kneeling like broken dolls. I was stunned. It turned out the person in the coffin was never weak. Hazel pressed the dagger against my throat, her seductive body clinging to me like a coiled snake. Scarlet, meanwhile, advanced step by step from the front. Attacked from both sides, I was pushed to my limit. My mind went blank, utterly incapable of thought. I couldn't even control myself. All I wanted was to charge at Scarlet. But she lunged first, her graceful hands already forming the spell, aiming directly for my lower abdomen. I would only learn much later that if the second-level charm art succeeded, I wouldn't just become a puppet, spilling all my secrets to Scarlet. Even if the spell wore off, I would be reduced to a blithering idiot. The second-level charm art didn't just mesmerize the mind, it annihilated the soul, damaging the 3 souls and 7 spirits. At that moment, Scarlet was close to completing her hand seal. In that critical split second, my heart hammered against my ribs, threatening to leap from my chest. Suddenly, a strong wind erupted, and thick fog engulfed the space. The previously serene beauty's coffin began to shake violently. From the gap in its lid, streams of blood-red energy surged forth. Where the blood energy condensed, it even turned into fresh blood, flowing along the carved contours of the beauty on the coffin, as if weeping. Scarlet spun around to look at the coffin, and Hazel immediately turned her head too. "What's happening?" Scarlet demanded. Hazel frowned, saying, "The coffin is changing. What on earth is hidden inside?" They turned to look at me, but I offered no reply. Their gazes then fixated back on the coffin, stunned as if they'd witnessed something incredible. They seemed on the verge of speaking, but no words came out. Immediately after, both released me simultaneously, as if losing all consciousness. They took faltering steps towards the coffin before collapsing to their knees. The hand seal Scarlet had been forming was shattered by a surge of blood energy. The dagger in Hazel's hand clattered to the ground. "My husband, who dares to disrespect you, I'll slap them." A domineering female voice rang out, mingling with the howling wind, echoing throughout the old house. As soon as the words ended, Scarlet and Hazel became dazed. As if controlled, they raised their hands and began to slap themselves. Slap, slap, slap. It was unclear how many times they slapped themselves. When they finally stopped, both collapsed to the ground, motionless, blood smeared at the corners of their mouths and eyes. I stared, dumbfounded, at the beauty's coffin, still unopened. Had the girl inside the coffin truly acted? The oppressive aura dissipated, and the coffin returned to its initial stillness. This was precisely why I had led Scarlet here. Relying solely on my current abilities, I was utterly incapable of dealing with Scarlet and Hazel. I had no other choice. I could only take the gamble that a coffin coveted by so many must contain someone extraordinary. Furthermore, my grandfather had placed this coffin right in the center of the living room without any protective enchantments. He surely had his reasons. Looking back now, my gamble hadn't been wrong. I leaned down to check Scarlet and Hazel's breathing. They were merely unconscious, not dead. I began to wonder how I should deal with these 2 women. The Hu family was one of the 3 largest Xuanmen clans. Scarlet was the family head's beloved daughter, and Hazel also held a high position. If I killed them to silence them, Matriarch Hu would certainly not let it go. Dealing with these 2 was already troublesome enough. Little Black had said that Matriarch was a notorious Black Lotus. I wouldn't dare offend her. But if I let them live, the secret of the beauty's coffin might be exposed. I truly hesitated. Honestly, asking me, someone who hadn't even killed a chicken, to kill 2 living women right before my eyes, Scarlet and Hazel, no less, was simply impossible. I decided to leave them be for now. I stood up and walked to the beauty's coffin. Last night, when I came here with my grandfather, I was scared to death, my face pale. But now I felt no fear. I knew the girl in the coffin wouldn't harm me. On the contrary, she had just saved me. I lit 3 sticks of incense and placed them in the censer before the coffin. I clasped my hands, bowed 3 times, and said, "Beautiful older sister, thank you for your help just now." The moment I finished speaking, I suddenly noticed a drop of blood trickling down the forehead of the beauty, carved into the coffin lid. The relief carving of the beauty was merely a sculpture. How could it be bleeding? I leaned closer to examine it, realizing the blood seemed to seep directly from the wood of the coffin itself. I reached out and wiped it away. Though the blood was cleaned, fresh blood continued to seep from between the eyebrows of the carved beauty. Feeling that something was amiss, I immediately opened the beauty's coffin. The beauty still lay silently within. She was as beautiful as the first time I had seen her. Her ethereal gaze, like pure moonlight, seeped into my heart, making it pound uncontrollably. This emotion was entirely different from the chaotic enchantment Scarlet's charm art had induced. But as my gaze lingered between her eyebrows, I noticed a wisp of black blood energy silently radiating. Last night, when I came here with my grandfather, it clearly wasn't there. Why was it appearing now? What was happening? Looking closer, I realized her eyebrows were slightly furrowed, and a fleeting expression of pain crossed her exquisite face. I couldn't help but worry. Could it be that she was injured from saving me just now? The blood flowing from the carved beauty's forehead was the sign. Thinking back, my grandfather had told me before to use blood from my fingertip to nourish her body. So I would try again, dripping a few drops of blood from my middle finger for her. Perhaps it would help. No sooner thought than done. The bite mark on my finger from yesterday had healed. I bit into my right middle finger, squeezing out a few drops of blood into her mouth. Just like before, she immediately took my finger into her mouth. But this time, she sucked much more vigorously than before. I felt my entire arm go numb from the suction. A moment later, my head began to spin. Fortunately, she stopped very quickly. The black blood energy between her eyebrows had now disappeared. It really worked. I exhaled in relief, closing the coffin lid, while also worrying if my actions had violated any of my grandfather's 3 warnings. After all, grandfather had said I was only to give her essence blood on the full moon of each month, and today was already the 16th. But for now, nothing seemed to have happened, just a slight dizziness. Recalling the moment Scarlet and Hazel were punished, I remembered hearing a woman's voice. The voice was incredibly melodious. I wondered if it belonged to the girl in the coffin. Could she actually speak? My heart was full of questions. Grandfather had said she once saved me many years ago. How exactly did she save me? Was she human, a ghost, a corpse, or something else entirely? And why did she claim Scarlet and Hazel dared to disrespect her husband? Was she referring to me? I took a deep breath, gathering all my courage to ask, "Beautiful older sister, can you speak? Just now you said I was your husband." I asked several questions, but she still showed no reaction. After a while, I tried placing my hand on her chest, checking for a heartbeat. Her body was icy cold, without the slightest pulse. She was exactly like a corpse. Grandfather had once said, "When her heart beats again, then you can stop." I wondered when that would ever happen. Would she wake up then? I closed the coffin lid. Afterward, I dragged the unconscious Scarlet and Hazel out of the old house. Having no other choice, I dragged them to a dilapidated mountain god temple on the northern hillside. I found ropes, tied them both up, stuffed rags into their mouths, and locked the door from the outside. My only hope was that they wouldn't escape quickly or reveal the location of the beauty's coffin. Once finished, my head was still spinning. But I remembered I hadn't worked at the ancient burial ground tonight, and this desolate cemetery was nearby, so I decided to visit it directly. As I walked, I cautiously observed my surroundings, wary of anyone following me. Upon reaching the cemetery, I began my task. Just as I bent down, I suddenly felt a black shadow dart past near a mound in front of me. My heart instantly constricted, and goosebumps erupted all over my body. Before the liberation, this place was the burial ground for another nearby village. Later, the entire village was massacred by bandits. It's said that hundreds of villagers were all buried in this ravine. Beneath my feet were undoubtedly countless skeletons. If grandfather hadn't forced me, I would never dare to come here at night. Even so, a thought struck me. Could it be someone following me? A bone-chilling night breeze swept past, making me shiver. "Run, everyone, that guy's here again." From somewhere ahead, a strange, old voice echoed with the night wind. I froze. Rustling sounds emanated from the surrounding bushes and trees. From a few graves, even green smoke rose as if something was emerging. Before I could see clearly, it vanished into the undergrowth. A moment later, the area grew silent again. Could it really be ghosts? But they seemed to be afraid of me. It was hard to believe, yet I didn't dare to ponder it further. I had to finish my task and leave this place as soon as possible. Just like last time, I cut my palm to perform the Killing Chi introduction art, drawing Killing Chi into my body, transforming it into vital energy. I mumbled the incantation, and before long, my body gradually warmed. Moreover, that flow of energy circulating throughout my body cleared my mind completely, and the dizziness vanished. I still didn't stop, wanting to absorb more yin-killing chi from the earth. Last time, when I used the blood diamond, I suffered a backlash because the killing chi in my body wasn't sufficient. This time, I wanted to absorb a lot. 5 minutes later, I felt the yin-killing chi in my body beginning to surge uncontrollably. I hastily chanted a spell, but it was still difficult to maintain stability. If this continued, I didn't know what would happen. Just then, I suddenly remembered that the blood diamond was used to dissipate killing chi. I bent down and picked up a leaf reciting blood diamond. Immediately, the leaf emitted a dazzling red light. I swung my arm, and the leaf shot forward like a bloody blade. I thought nothing had happened because the targeted tree remained standing. But as I turned away, I suddenly heard a crack, and the large tree toppled over. This move was truly formidable. The black-covered book grandfather gave me was indeed a treasure. Perhaps because I had absorbed enough killing chi this time, I didn't suffer another backlash. After performing this move, though there was still killing chi in my body, I was able to control it. My task complete, I followed the mountain trail back home. I wasn't sure how long the dilapidated temple could hold Scarlet and Hazel. Arriving back in the courtyard and seeing that it was still quiet outside, I sat before my grandfather's and parents' altar and lit incense. Little Black had just woken up and immediately ran over to ask me, "Alex, how are things? Where are those 2 women?" I vaguely replied, "They're unconscious. I tossed them into the temple in the north." Little Black yelped, his round dog eyes staring at me in astonishment, then he looked down at me. "Both of them unconscious? Alex, you're that strong, you're that formidable." His question made me flinch. "No way, those 2 are the esteemed daughters of the Who family, the famously alluring Scarlet and Hazel. I thought you were done for, who would have thought?" "Alex, no, brother Alex, how did you do it? Tell me the truth, did your grandfather pass on some secret bedroom techniques to you?" "Teach me too, and I'll call you Master Alex from now on." I was still young and naturally virile, but I had no idea what Little Black's mind was conjuring up. I rubbed his head and said, "Just one Master Alex and you want secret techniques. It's not that easy." Little Black paused, then immediately knelt, his 2 front paws bent, and said to me, "Old Master Alex, from now on, just command me. As long as I can do it, I'll go through fire and water for you. Even if it means breaking my head and shattering my brains, I won't refuse." Hearing Master Alex felt quite pleasant to my ears. I waved my hand. All right, that's enough. But I'll have to see your performance. If you do well, I'll teach you." Since Little Black had misunderstood, I decided to let him. It would prevent him from finding excuses to use his illusions to charm me into asking for human form. Little Black grinned brightly like a flower, but then he asked, "Master Alex, you were already under their charm spell then. Even with secret techniques, how did you break the Who family's charm art?" I embellished the story for him. Little Black was even more astonished, his eyes wide as he asked me, "What? Breaking the charm art? Truly worthy of the Yang family's secret techniques. Master Alex, after dealing with them, you just left those 2 women at the mountain god temple and walked away." I retorted, "Otherwise, what else was I supposed to do? They were unconscious. Should I have killed them to silence them? I haven't even killed a chicken before, I couldn't bring myself to do it." Little Black's dog face showed helplessness. "Master Alex, all the men out there would dream of licking the hems of those 2 women's skirts, but none get the chance. Do you want to lick them too?" Little Black bared his teeth in a grin. "That I do not." "Little Black, how about this? I'll take you up to the mountain god temple." "Really? That's great. As expected of Master Alex, if you just blow some yang energy on me, I can temporarily transform into a human. Let's go right now, or else those 2 might wake up and cause trouble." Before he finished speaking, I kicked him. "What nonsense are you thinking? Get out of the gate." Now I was even more certain of grandfather's warning not to let Little Black transform into a human. This dog's mind was filled with nothing but mischief. If he truly became human, I couldn't imagine how many girls he would harm. The women in the village would certainly be the first to suffer. As his owner, I couldn't bear that responsibility. It was already past midnight, but after absorbing the yin-earth killing chi, I felt refreshed and not sleepy at all. Little Black lay dejectedly by the door. Around 3 a.m., he bade me farewell and left. He had mentioned before that he needed to go into the mountains to prepare for my plan. Unable to sleep, I continued to study the ancient book. Little Black had said that, except for the relatively simple beginning, most of the later content was very difficult to understand. My grandfather had only grasped about a third of it, telling me to study it slowly. But as I read, I found it very compatible, liking it more and more. I secretly thought, grandfather is so formidable, respected by everyone in the Xuanmen world, how could he only understand a third? That dog must have been exaggerating. I didn't know when, but mourning had broken. I overheard people outside discussing how the two Hu family girls had entered last night and hadn't come out. They feared the beauty's coffin might have fallen into the Hu family's hands. Hearing this, Master Huang became frantic. Besides him, Zhang Sui Feng, usually very calm, also looked worried. He was the first to approach, probing my thoughts. "Alex," he said, "last night you told Lily that the matter of the beauty's coffin wouldn't be discussed for 2 more days. Did you and the Hu family already finish negotiating last night?" Just because the two Hu girls hadn't emerged, they had jumped to the conclusion that I had made a deal with the Hu family. I asked Zhang Sui Feng in return, "Who said that?" He paused, then smiled. "Ah, I understand now." After that, he clasped his hands in greeting and walked out. Clearly, he believed it was just a rumor. Master Huang asked about the situation. Zhang Sui Feng openly replied, "Alex means that the Hu family is capable, but not to that extent." While the two were still standing near the gate, the Hu family head, Hu Yueji, the Black Lotus of the Xuanmen world, quickly approached. As soon as she entered the courtyard, Hu Yueji stared at me, demanding, "Where are Scarlet and Hazel?" Her gaze was sharp and cold, her aura oppressive. I answered truthfully, "They're not here." Hu Yueji seemed surprised, frowning as she asked, "Everyone saw Scarlet and Hazel at the spirit guarding hall with you last night. Now you say they're not here? Then where did they go?" Evidently, in her mind, if things had gone smoothly, I would now be an idiot and they would have obtained the beauty's coffin. But it was morning and I was perfectly normal. The two Hu family women had vanished. This was clearly outside her expectations. "I'm not sure either, matriarch Hu," I replied. "They did come, but they left in the middle of the night. Didn't anyone see them? Perhaps they found it difficult to face the matriarch and decided to hide somewhere." Hearing my words, the gazes of the Xuanmen practitioners instantly changed. Before, no one thought I could handle the two Hu family women, but now they realized they had underestimated me. I even heard whispers behind my back. As expected of old man Yang's grandson, ordinary on the outside but with unfathomable strength? That's right, subduing those two Hu girls is no simple feat. But Hu Yueji still stared at me, angered and bellowed, "Impossible! I don't believe Scarlet and Hazel couldn't handle you. If you don't believe it, then so be it. In any case, I've decided to address the matter of the beauty's coffin tomorrow, after my parents' funeral. That is the rule of the Yang family. For the Hu family to try and force me to hand over the coffin, that is impossible." At this, I subtly smiled. "If matriarch Hu doesn't believe it, I think you're quite capable. How about you come to the spirit guarding hall with me tonight?" "You insolent brat, how dare you?" Hu Yueji raged. The very next second, I immediately felt an intense surge of chilling energy approaching. My feet felt nailed to the ground, unable to move. From her eyes, I knew she believed victory was hers, and she would certainly obtain the beauty's coffin. As for me, I said that to make her understand I wasn't some child she could do whatever she pleased with. Master Huang and Zhang Sui Feng were still standing outside, listening. At this, Master Huang burst into laughter. "Haha, matriarch who would have thought that the Black Lotus of the Xuanmen world, revered by all, would now be teased by a mere youngster? Alex is truly worthy of being old man Yang's grandson. His demeanor is just like his grandfather's back in the day." Old Huang here is truly impressed. Hearing this, Hu Yueji grew even angrier and immediately grabbed my collar. "You brat, you want to die, don't you?" In that moment, I felt as if I'd fallen into an ice pit. Not only was my body unable to move, but I was also being choked. In Hu Yueji's eyes, I saw a clear intent to kill. Was this the power of a Xuanmen master? Faced with Hu Yueji, I indeed had no power to resist. If my eldest uncle also possessed such strength, going to find him now would be a death wish. Fortunately, Little Black stopped me that night. Otherwise, what would a mere child like me use to seek revenge? Of course, I provoked Hu Yueji not to seek death. There were 2 reasons. One was to let the people of the Xuanmen world know that I wasn't a minor character they could easily manipulate. The second was to gauge the power of a Xuanmen family head. If I wanted revenge, I needed to know what level I had to reach. I still didn't fully understand this Xuanmen underworld. Today was just my first step into it. Seeing this, Master Huang immediately spoke up loudly. "Hu Yueji, what are you doing? Release him at once." Zhang Feng also worriedly advised, Matriarch Hu, calm your anger. Alex is old man Yang's only grandson, only he knows the secret of the beauty's coffin. If you kill him, the coffin's secret will be lost forever. This Black Lotus of the Xuanmen world always acted decisively and had a vicious heart. Provoking her truly meant risking one's life. Sure enough, the more Zhang Feng and Master Huang advised her, the more force Hu Yueji applied. Not only did she not let go, but she nearly crushed my throat. I chanted a spell, using the blood diamond for self-protection to escape. But at that very moment, a woman's voice echoed from a distance. Mother, I'm here. Hearing this voice, everyone present turned their heads and my heart sank. It was over. Indeed, merely tying their hands and feet and locking the door couldn't keep Scarlet and Hazel confined. The ones returning now were Scarlet and Hazel. The one who had just spoken was Scarlet. Both their faces were still slightly swollen. Not silencing them had indeed left future troubles. Hu Yueji frowned, immediately asking, Scarlet, Hazel, where did you two go? Why are you only returning now? Scarlet replied. We just came back from the mountain god temple. Hu Yueji grew even more suspicious. She stared at the two of them and sternly demanded, the mountain god temple? Last night I told you two to talk to Alex Yang. Instead of talking properly, you ran off to the mountain god temple. You both better give me a reasonable explanation, or don't blame me for disregarding kinship and only applying family law. The phrase, only applying family law, made Scarlet tremble. Hazel also fearfully hid behind Scarlet, not daring to approach Hu Yueji. The Hu family's law seemed terrifying. Members of the Hu family changed their expressions upon hearing it. Hu Yueji roared. Scarlet and Hazel flinched, then knelt down from afar before Hu Yueji. My heart also tightened. Scarlet and Hazel revealed the secret of the beauty's coffin hidden in the old house. The Xuanmen practitioners would surely rush in to seize it, especially Hu Yueji. Last night, the beauty in the coffin risked a lot and was injured to save my life. I absolutely couldn't let her be disturbed again. On the other side, Scarlet bowed her head and said, I lost. Hu Yueji was stunned, clearly unable to believe it. She asked, What do you mean you lost? Scarlet explained, Mother, I'm sorry. My charm art was pushed to its limits, but I still couldn't deal with Alex Yang. Hazel and I fled the Yang family house in the middle of the night. We have no face left to meet you. I was dumbfounded. I truly hadn't expected Scarlet to say such a thing. She actually didn't reveal the secret of the beauty's coffin hidden in the old house. Why was that? Could it be that last night the beautiful older sister made them slap themselves, causing these two women to lose their memories? That didn't seem very likely. Hu Yueji roared, Impossible. How could your charm art fail unless Alex Yang isn't a man? He must be. Scarlet and Hazel almost answered in unison. Hu Yueji sneered, Really? Is there any man in this world who can resist your charm arts? Scarlet bowed her head and replied, It's not that we resisted, but brother Alex. He's too strong. Hazel and I couldn't withstand him at all. We fled last night. Hazel also nodded in agreement. Both girls' faces flushed deep red. These words made me blush too. Although I didn't deny being strong, Scarlet was exaggerating. I didn't understand why Scarlet would say such a thing. Was it because the Hu family's laws were too strict? If Scarlet claimed she could succeed but failed to do so, leading to overall failure, would she be punished? But that wasn't right either. She already knew the location of the beauty's coffin. Still suspicious, I noticed Little Black had returned. He stood under a fake willow tree, proudly wagging his tail, his dog head nodding as he pointed towards Scarlet. I understood then, this was his doing. Scarlet and Hazel had fallen under Little Black's illusion art and were still immersed in it. Looking closely, it was indeed true. Scarlet and Hazel's spirits seemed a little sluggish. This was precisely the sign of being under an illusion. Hu Yueji was furious. She no longer stood on ceremony, turning directly to question me. Alex Yang, tell me, where is the beauty's coffin? I countered. What if I don't tell you? Hu Yueji sneered, saying nothing. Then we'll see if you have the backbone for it. Tell me the whereabouts of the beauty's coffin, and I can grant you a complete burial. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die without a proper grave. What a vicious woman. Yet I remained calm. In front of so many people, you want to openly steal it, do you? Yes, I do want to steal it. Hu Yueji tightened her grip on my throat, trying to apply pressure. I stated bluntly, you wouldn't dare kill me. Hu Yueji burst into laughter upon hearing this, then retorted, wouldn't dare kill you? Are you thinking that if I kill you, no one will find the beauty's coffin anymore? You're wrong. At most, I'll have people tear this village apart. I don't believe I won't find that coffin. Hu Yueji thought I was trying to use the secret of the beauty's coffin as a bargaining chip, but I said, no, that's not it. What I mean is, you wouldn't dare kill me, and you couldn't kill me because my grandfather is not dead yet. The moment I finished speaking, a flicker of astonishment crossed Hu Yueji's face. The Xuanmen practitioners present were also incredibly surprised, as my words sent shockwaves through everyone. What? How can that be? We came to attend Yang Tianteng's funeral. Yang Tianteng isn't dead? No, isn't the coffin still in the house? Just one sentence, my grandfather is not dead yet, caused a stir among the Xuanmen practitioners outside, all discussing my grandfather's matter. Hu Yueji scoffed again, trying to scare me? You mere child, at this point you still want to deceive me? Your grandfather's coffin is still right there. I had long anticipated they would say that. Everyone stared at me, awaiting my answer. I calmly stated, my grandfather's coffin is empty. This declaration once again caused an uproar, everyone's attention shifting towards my grandfather's coffin. I continued, otherwise, why would I have refused when everyone suggested replacing my grandfather's coffin with a larger one? If an empty coffin were opened, wouldn't the truth be revealed? My words convinced many. Hu Yueji looked at me with disbelief. Clearly, she was beginning to find me inscrutable. I deliberately added, if you don't believe me, matriarch who can open my grandfather's coffin and check. Someone open the coffin, Hu Yueji ordered. 4 or 5 people collectively put their strength into it. Very quickly, my grandfather's coffin was opened. Indeed, my grandfather's body had long disappeared. I didn't know his whereabouts either. They opened the coffin, and naturally they didn't find my grandfather's body. Looking at the empty coffin, Hu Yueji exclaimed, how can this be? Alex Yang, didn't you spread the news that your grandfather had passed away? You've tricked more than half the Xuanmen world into coming here. Are you making a fool of us? Hu Yueji was truly a black lotus. Her heart was indeed dark. In just a few words, she wanted to make me a scapegoat. I waved my hand, saying, don't misunderstand, matriarch and elders, don't misunderstand either. The news of my grandfather's passing was not spread by me. Whoever tricked everyone, go find them. However, regardless of the circumstances, I, Alex Yang, am extremely grateful for everyone's contributions to my parents' funeral. My grandfather and I will certainly engrave your kindness in our hearts. At this, I looked at Hu Yueji again. Of course, my grandfather has always been clear about grievances and favors. As for those who caused me trouble, I'm afraid he won't let it slide. With just one reminder, Hu Yueji's expression immediately changed. She gnashed her teeth, clearly hating being threatened. However, with nothing in the coffin and my grandfather genuinely possibly alive, she still feared him. Sister Hu, please don't misunderstand, and all elders, please don't misunderstand. Hu Yueji immediately released me, but her anger had not yet subsided. Honestly, I was realizing more and more that I didn't truly understand my grandfather. Before, I always thought he had only worked in an archaeological team, and despite his feigned madness, he was just an ordinary person. Compared to these prominent figures in the Xuanmen world, he probably wasn't worth mentioning. After all, those Xuanmen practitioners belonged to orthodox families, most of which had been passed down for several hundred, even 1,000, years. But now I realized that my grandfather, even within the Xuanmen world, was a renowned figure. I thought that if one day I could be as formidable as my grandfather, I would certainly be able to avenge my parents, and of course myself. Taking a deep breath, I used the atmosphere to address everyone in the Xuanmen world. Tomorrow, after my parents' burial, my grandfather has something important he wishes to discuss with everyone regarding the beauty's coffin. If interested, all elders present here are welcome to attend. Of course, my grandfather also stated that if any family wishes to follow the Hu family's example and directly seize the beauty's coffin, he will not agree. Just one sentence, my grandfather will not agree, made the Xuanmen practitioners tremble 3 times. They all unanimously stated that they would certainly come then. As for Hu Yueji, her expression towards me had changed drastically. Although she was still angry, she no longer dared to look down on me. Actually, there was something I only learned much later. It turned out that Hu Yueji, in her youth, had once confronted my grandfather, but she was ultimately defeated by him and was said to have been left traumatized. This incident was not unknown to many in the Xuanmen world. Afterward, the Xuanmen practitioners all returned to their tents. The funeral performers continued their work. Outside my house, the singing of local paper puppet funeral rituals echoed. It was somewhat similar to shadow puppetry, but not quite the same. This time, when Little Black returned, I noticed the tuft of golden fur on his head had disappeared. Clearly, he had fully absorbed the decades-old golden ferret he had swallowed earlier. I asked him what had happened to Scarlet and Hazel. Little Black immediately puffed out his chest. What? Alex, wasn't this Master's handling of things cool? This little Alex was truly arrogant. When I questioned him back, Little Black immediately realized his mistake and hastily corrected himself with a laugh. Master Alex, I misspoke. Honestly, after swallowing that golden ferret, this Master's illusion art has reached a new level. No wonder Little Black was so arrogant. His illusion art had truly leveled up. I definitely needed to be more cautious next full moon. Outwardly, I nodded, praising him for doing a good job, and then asked how the other matter was progressing. Little Black whispered, "Don't worry, I've already placed that thing in the old house's courtyard. Is the thing you found heavy enough?" "Enough, yes, it is. You'll see tomorrow, you'll definitely be surprised." I reached out and patted his dog head, saying, "Well done, keep it up next time." Little Black giggled and asked me about the secret techniques. I immediately told him it was a family heirloom of the Yang family. Getting it wouldn't be so easy. Little Black nodded, saying, yes, I'll keep trying." He also said that all the dogs in the village had been recruited by him, and moreover, dogs have spiritual eyes. If my eldest uncle brought anything unclean into the village to spy, the dogs would immediately report it to him. I secretly thought, this little rascal's arrangements aren't bad. Everything was ready, only awaiting the final step tomorrow. The next morning, at the appointed hour, the funeral procession carried my parents' 2 coffins towards the cemetery. Watching the 2 coffins move ahead, I couldn't control my emotions, tears streaming down my face. But I had no other relatives, and no one paid attention. As I walked, wiping my tears, Lily Zhang approached and offered me a handkerchief. "Brother Alex, please wipe your tears. Aunt and Uncle would surely be heartbroken to see you so sad." I was stunned as I took the handkerchief. Honestly, I didn't know if her father had ordered her to come, but the feeling she gave me was different from other girls. She gave me a sense of closeness, almost like a younger sister. I gave her another look, and in that very glance, I noticed a streak of blood energy between her eyebrows. This blood energy carried the killing Qi described in the ancient black-covered book. The annotations on killing Qi were extremely detailed, and as someone practicing killing Qi myself, I was highly sensitive to this kind of aura. Therefore, with just a glance, I saw the blood-killing Qi between Lily Zhang's eyebrows. The ancient book stated that the yintang, area between eyebrows, is the life palace in physiognomy, governing a person's life and destiny. If blood-killing Qi appeared there, it indicated the person would likely face a great disaster, possibly even death. In other words, Lily Zhang might die. The funeral procession was large but orderly. Almost all the Xuanmen families were present, out of respect for my grandfather. I turned my head to look for a moment, seeing nothing suspicious or dangerous. Lily Zhang, seeing me looking around, asked, "What are you looking at, Brother Alex?" I turned back and waved my hand. "Nothing." "Oh, right, Lily, be a little careful later, and remember to stick close to your father." Lily Zhang's father was Zhang Feng, the head of the Zhang family, one of the 3 great Xuanmen families in Tengzhou. His strength was certainly not ordinary. After practicing killing Qi, I could also sense he had internal energy. His strength was probably not weak. I reminded Lily just to be more cautious. After all, among the Xuanmen people who came this time, only Lily was the most straightforward when facing me, unlike the others, whose intentions were clear from the start. Unexpectedly, Lily said, "Yes, I'll be careful, but I still want to go with you." I asked, "Did your father tell you to come with me?" Lily immediately waved her hand. No, I want to go." I looked closely again. The blood-killing Qi between Lily Zhang's eyebrows was still there. Moreover, as the funeral procession left the village, that blood energy grew denser and denser. Worried, I called out to Zhang Feng, "Uncle Zhang, could you come here for a moment?" As soon as I called, the other Xuanmen practitioners immediately grew agitated, especially Master Huang, the head of the Huang family, who immediately pulled his daughter Tiffany Huang over. Zhang Feng arrived and asked, "Alex, what is it? Just say it." "Uncle Zhang, don't say that. I'm just a junior. I just wanted to ask you for a favor." Zhang Feng smiled. "Alex, you're being too polite, it's nothing." I hadn't even clearly stated what I needed help with, and he had already agreed, asking for the reason. He said he and my grandfather were old friends, so helping me was helping his friend. Then, "Uncle Zhang, please come with me. Today my parents are being interred and I have a constant feeling of unease, worried that something ominous might happen. As soon as I finished speaking, Zhang Tsui Feng patted my shoulder. Alex, don't worry. With me here, nothing will happen today. Lily Zhang next to him also nodded, reassuring me. Little Black had once told me that the Zhang family was a Feng Shui family. My parents' burial site was chosen by Zhang Tsui Feng himself, so I felt this person could be trusted. But when I stated my request and looked back at Lily Zhang's yintang, the blood energy was still there, and furthermore, the killing qi within it grew even stronger, almost completely enveloping her life palace. How could this be? Zhang Tsui Feng had clearly arrived, and Lily and I were both here, walking together throughout the journey. Yet he still couldn't protect his own daughter. At this moment, Master Huang also walked over and said, Alex, old Zhang is just a Feng Shui master. He doesn't have any formidable skills. But your Uncle Huang belongs to the mountain character gate of Xuanmen, specializing in body cultivation and Fa Fu, Law Mansion Temple of Law, perhaps a specific technique place. I've even debated on Mount Longhu. Just leave everything to me, Uncle Huang. Master Huang also had internal energy, and his energy seemed different from Zhang Tsui Feng's. After Master Huang arrived, his daughter Tiffany Huang followed. It seemed he had instructed his daughter beforehand. This time, she approached with a bright smile for me. But as she got closer, she immediately pushed Lily Zhang aside and moved intimately close to me. Tiffany Huang smiled and said, Brother Alex, it was my fault before, please forgive me. The funeral procession is so long, let me walk with you. To be honest, I really disliked this girl. Although her appearance was passable, her character was terrible. As soon as she finished speaking, she turned to look at Lily Zhang, sneering, Lily, someone like you dares to stand next to Brother Alex? You're ugly and flat-chested. Your father truly doesn't know his daughter's place, constantly trying to push you onto Brother Alex. Lily Zhang bowed her head in embarrassment, saying nothing. In my eyes, Lily Zhang's beauty was no less than Tiffany Huang's. She simply lacked confidence. I was about to dismiss Tiffany Huang, but I noticed that after she arrived, a stream of blood-killing qi also appeared between her eyebrows, and Lily Zhang's blood-killing qi had faded a bit. Could it be because Lily Zhang was following me? Did the danger originate from me? Thinking this, I agreed to Tiffany Huang's suggestion. Lily, you don't need to follow me anymore. Tiffany Huang is enough for me. Lily Zhang looked up at me in shock, clearly not expecting me to say that. She wanted to say something, but before she could utter a word, tears welled up. Tiffany Huang, hearing this, was incredibly smug. She immediately linked her arm with mine, acting intimately. I told you, how could Brother Alex like that plain Jane? Sure enough, you still prefer Tiffany. I said directly in front of Lily Zhang, of course. At this, Tiffany Huang turned to Lily Zhang, mocking her. Lily, have you no shame? Brother Alex said he doesn't need you to follow him. Why are you still clinging on? Lily Zhang said nothing, just stood there with her head bowed. The funeral procession continued forward, leaving Lily Zhang behind. Zhang Tsui Feng didn't know what we had just discussed. He only saw his daughter standing still and came over to ask. Lily Zhang merely shook her head, saying, It's nothing. Zhang Tsui Feng looked at me. I avoided his gaze. Master Huang saw this, gleefully said, I told you, old Zhang, it's better if we don't interfere in the affairs of these young ones. Look, my Tiffany and Alex truly make a beautiful couple. After the funeral, I'll prepare a marriage proposal and bring it to the Yang family. Wouldn't you agree? After learning my grandfather was still alive, the Xuanmen practitioner's view of me changed again. Before, Master Huang had only come for the beauty's coffin. Now he wanted to marry his daughter to me. He deliberately spoke loudly so Tiffany Huang and I could hear him from the front. Tiffany Huang arrogantly said, That little Lily Zhang is far inferior to me. I said nothing, just looked at her yintang. The blood-killing qi there was even heavier. But Tiffany Huang grew even happier seeing me stare. Brother Alex, even though I'm prettier than Lily Zhang, you keep staring at me like that. I'm getting shy, Tiffany Huang said. I keep staring and she gets shy. She was truly conceited. In reality, I was just observing the blood-killing qi between her eyebrows. Outwardly, Tiffany Huang feigned shyness, but in reality, she deliberately leaned closer to me. As she leaned in, she even turned her head to look at Lily Zhang in the distance with a smug expression. I turned my head to look at Lily Zhang, but the distance was quite far, and I couldn't see her face clearly. Of course, I also couldn't determine if the blood-killing qi between her eyebrows was still present. However, the blood-killing qi between Tiffany Huang's eyebrows grew darker and darker. After walking a bit, Tiffany Huang asked me, Brother Alex, are you thirsty? I have water here. With that, she took out a bottle of water and handed it to me. I was indeed thirsty and was about to twist the cap off to drink when, unexpectedly, the funeral procession ahead suddenly stopped. Seeing something was happening, I no longer had the mind to drink water. I tossed the bottle back to Tiffany Huang, then ran to the front. Tiffany Huang immediately chased after me, saying, "Brother Alex, drink some water first before you go." Behind us, Master Huang also walked up, advising, "Alex, don't worry. That's a professional coffin-carrying team hired from the city. There isn't a single coffin in all of Tungju they can't carry." As Master Huang spoke, he took the bottle from Tiffany Huang's hand and offered it to me. "Drink up, you look exhausted." Unwilling to refuse, I took the bottle back, but without opening it to drink, I hurried forward. Master Huang immediately gestured for Tiffany Huang to follow closely. My village is called Yangjia, nestled deep in the mountains. To the west of the village is a continuous mountain range, all secondary peaks of the Qinling Mountains. As mentioned before, the old cemetery was originally a village, later massacred by bandits, with blood flowing like a river. The villagers were all buried in that burial ground. It's said that when they were killed, the nearby river ran red with blood. That river still exists, now called the Red River. It's the second most peculiar place in the village after the ancestral graves. The river isn't wide or deep, but every year people and livestock drown in it. Along the ravine, there are a few more villages. Over the Red River, there's a stone bridge, which is the path connecting the villages. To reach my parents' burial site, we had to cross the stone bridge. Now, the funeral procession had arrived here, stopping in the middle of the bridge. I stepped forward to ask, "Why aren't you moving?" The coffin bearers were all panting heavily, and the leader softly said, "Young Master Yang, it seems there's a problem." As soon as the coffins came onto the bridge, we couldn't lift our feet. I looked, and it was true. 2 coffins, a dozen people carrying them, yet everyone was drenched in sweat, as if something heavy was pressing down on them. Beneath the Red River stone bridge, a demon-suppressing sword once hung. Normally, with that sword there was no issue. Villagers had always crossed here for funerals, and nothing had ever happened. Seeing that the coffins couldn't move, I immediately looked down under the bridge. Sure enough, the demon-suppressing sword was nowhere to be found. It was said to be a sword hung there by a wandering Taoist priest many years ago. Thanks to it, the Red River had been peaceful for decades. Why had it vanished now? Zhang Tsui Feng stepped forward to ask what was wrong. I explained about the missing demon-suppressing sword and asked if he had a replacement. Zhang Tsui Feng looked at the Red River, sighed, and frowned, saying, "It seems the resentment beneath the river is too heavy, preventing your parents from crossing. Replacements aren't impossible to find, but to find one quickly would be difficult. It would need to be a magic artifact that has been consecrated with incense for several years, preferably a blade or sword carrying heavy killing qi." We turned back to the bank, intending to ask if other Xuanmen families had anything useful with them. After a few steps, Zhang Tsui Feng looked at me and asked, "Alex, where did you get that water?" I looked at the bottle in my hand and replied, "Oh, Tiffany Huang gave it to me." Just as I was thirsty and about to open it to drink, Zhang Tsui Feng unexpectedly snatched it away. I was stunned. "Uncle Zhang, what are you doing? If you're thirsty, you can drink it. I haven't had a single drop yet." But Zhang Tsui Feng said nothing. He pulled out a yellow talisman from his pocket, stuck it onto a nearby rock, and poured the water over it. The water, which seemed pure, filtered out many hair-like small insects as it flowed over the talisman. They writhed on the talisman and were quickly burned to ash. I instinctively asked, "Why are there worms in the water?" Zhang Tsui Feng handed me the remaining half bottle of water, saying, "These are guworms. Before, Tiffany Huang used to look down on you. Her sudden change today, approaching you, is not without purpose. She wants to cast a goo spell. I'm not clear on the specific effect of this goo, but one thing is certain. If you had drunk even a mouthful, the Huang family could control you, my boy." So, it was goo poison from the Miao border region. Tiffany Huang was truly venomous. Zhang Tsui Feng patted my shoulder. "Come, we must demand an explanation from her and see how Master Huang accounts for this." Zhang Tsui Feng intended to seek justice for me, but I thought for a moment and said, "Never mind, Uncle Zhang. Those who cause evil cannot live. Karma will eventually catch up to them." Zhang Tsui Feng was stunned, then nodded. "You're right. After all, your family isn't a Xuanmen clan. If you truly offend the Huang family, it will be difficult for you to continue on the Xuanmen path later." I said nothing more. We were about to leave the riverbank and return to the bridge when we suddenly heard a commotion on the bridge, someone shouting. Zhang Xuifeng and I immediately ran towards it. As soon as we reached the bridge, I saw Tiffany Huang, who had, at some unknown point, climbed onto my father's coffin. Her posture was incredibly bizarre, her hands constantly clawing at the coffin lid. Her manicured nails were all shattered, deeply embedded in her flesh, her hands covered in blood. Master Huang ran over in a panic, calling for more people to pull his daughter down. But as soon as someone touched her, Tiffany Huang immediately let out a piercing shriek, then clawed the person's hand, leaving several long, bloody gashes. A servant next to them frantically said, "Master Miss, it seems our young lady is possessed. We can't control her." Master Huang angrily yelled, "Nonsense, don't I know my own daughter? Quickly, bring out the demon-warding talismans." The servant immediately pulled out a stack of demon-warding talismans. Master Huang took one, muttering an incantation, and approached Tiffany Huang while simultaneously shouting at the coffin bearers, "Put the coffin down, I need to save my daughter." The coffin bearers were already exhausted beyond endurance. Now, with Tiffany Huang on top of the coffin, coupled with their fear, let alone continuing forward, even just keeping the coffin from falling was difficult. However, these men were led by a capable leader, and they did not falter. After all, this was their professional duty. If they truly allowed someone's coffin to fall here, they would lose all faith in their profession from then on. That was their professional principle and the final boundary for coffin bearers. Therefore, when Master Huang yelled at them to put my father's coffin down, the coffin bearers still did not let go. The team leader immediately said, "It cannot be put down." Once a coffin has left the house, it absolutely must not touch the ground until it reaches the burial site. Otherwise, the coffin must be buried right here. Master Huang gnashed his teeth, glaring at the man, angrily shouting, "You, Chen, you're just a nobody in the Xuanmen world and you dare to defy me? Shut your mouth and put the coffin down, or I'll make sure you can't survive in Tengzhou." Master Huang's words were clearly a threat. The man frowned. He truly didn't dare to offend a prominent Xuanmen figure like Master Huang. But behind him, the coffin bearers still wouldn't let go. At this moment, Zhang Xuifeng quickly ran over and stopped Master Huang. "Master Huang, he's right, the coffin cannot touch the ground." Master Huang bellowed, "Get out of the way, can't you see my daughter is in trouble? I have to save her, put the coffin down." Having said that, he gestured to his subordinates behind him to act. Master Huang's men immediately rushed forward, intending to attack the coffin bearers, but Zhang Xuifeng also had many people, who quickly stepped forward to block them. Both sides were locked in a tense standoff. The fog on the Red River grew thicker, spreading over the stone bridge. Tiffany Huang still lay prone on the coffin, softly growling, looking nothing like a living person. It seemed the blood-killing chi I had seen on her forehead earlier had manifested. At that very moment, she suddenly flipped open my father's coffin lid, sending it crashing to the ground, then plunged into the coffin, pulling my father's body out. Seeing this, I immediately ran over. Tiffany Huang dragged my father's body, looking towards the Red River below the bridge. Was she intending to throw my father's corpse into it? Master Huang also rushed over, pulling out a demon-suppressing talisman and sticking it onto Tiffany Huang. But strangely, the talisman had no effect whatsoever. Instead, Tiffany Huang tore off the talisman. The ineffectiveness of the demon-suppressing talisman shocked Master Huang. Then, Tiffany Huang grabbed my father's body and violently threw it at Master Huang. Unprepared, Master Huang was sent flying into the bridge's railing, hitting his head, his entire body dazed, almost unable to get up. Could his own daughter, possessed, be this strong? I rushed to the edge of the bridge. Tiffany Huang lunged at me. I chanted an incantation, channeling a bit of the blood diamond's killing chi within my body, having already prepared a willow leaf. When the willow leaf turned red, I immediately threw it at Tiffany Huang's leg. The blood-red leaf, like a dagger, pierced through her calf. Tiffany Huang staggered. I thought she would fall off the coffin from the injury, but unexpectedly, even with a hole in her leg, she clung tightly to the coffin, refusing to let go of my father's body. At this moment, Lily Zhang rushed over. She asked, "Brother Alex, are you all right?" I gestured that I was fine, telling her not to come closer. Tiffany Huang was very dangerous now, but Lily Zhang didn't listen, running towards me. Seeing Tiffany Huang in such a state, she asked, "What on earth is happening? Why has Tiffany Huang become like this?" I couldn't explain Tiffany Huang's condition either. Although it looked like possession, this was definitely not an ordinary kind of possession. Otherwise, Master Huang's incantations wouldn't have been so useless. Tiffany Huang, quickly put my father down, I shouted, but she showed no reaction. It seemed she had completely lost her sanity. Tiffany Huang walked along the edge of the coffin, apparently looking for an opportunity, intending to jump into the Red River with my father's body. I chanted another spell, using a bit of the killing chi in my body to condense onto a willow leaf. Although I didn't know if doing so would exhaust me to the point of fainting, I had no other choice now. I had to stop Tiffany Huang. Otherwise, the Red River was a river overflowing with killing chi and resentment. If my father's body fell into it, he would certainly not find peace. I didn't understand why Tiffany Huang had become like this. She was possessed, but why was she so determined to throw my father's body into the river? Could Master Huang have ordered her to do it? I didn't think so. Master Huang was a bad person, but probably not that vicious. Someone else must have acted against Tiffany Huang. At this moment, Lily Zhang, next to me, suddenly leaned closer and whispered, "Brother Alex, I know what's happening. Let me tell you." I flinched, thinking that Lily Zhang, coming from a Xuanmen background, must have experienced a lot. If she knew what was happening, perhaps it could still be salvaged. But when I turned to look at her, a strange smile appeared on Lily Zhang's face, and then she blew a strange breath into my face. The strange breath hit me, making my entire body go limp, collapsing on the spot. "Lily, you!" In that instant, I saw a golden ferret clinging to Lily Zhang's neck. The ferret's eyes emitted an eerie green light, and Lily Zhang's eyes also turned emerald green. Golden ferret possessing a body. I realized the truth, wanting to stand up, but my whole body was soft and immobile, not a sound escaped my mouth. Lily Zhang flashed an evil smile, then turned and ran towards my mother's coffin. The fog on the bridge was thick. The coffin bearers on that side didn't know what was happening here. They asked, "Miss Zhang, what are you doing over there?" But Lily Zhang didn't answer, lunging and ramming into the coffin. The coffin bearers nearly fell, but they immediately steadied themselves, holding the coffin tightly. At this moment, they also realized Lily Zhang had a problem. Lily Zhang also has a problem. Everyone, hold firm. Absolutely do not let the coffin touch the ground. I gradually became dazed. The breath Lily Zhang had blown earlier was too potent. I tried to mobilize the killing chi within me to condense the blood diamond, but I couldn't. At this moment, Tiffany Huang saw me fall. She immediately took my father's body from the coffin, jumped onto the bridge railing, preparing to leap down. But Master Huang, lying on the ground, suddenly sprang up and tightly embraced his daughter. Despite this, Tiffany Huang still threw my father's body down. Splash! My father's body hit the water, quickly sinking completely, no longer visible. I witnessed everything, but could only watch helplessly, unable to do anything. On this side, Master Huang pinned his daughter to the ground. Tiffany Huang struggled wildly, trying to break free from his control, but Master Huang held her down tightly, his hands continuously forming seals and striking his daughter. Streams of spiritual power emanated, their force not insignificant. Master Huang truly had abilities, but he was using them incorrectly. Those incantations had no effect. Even when he later used talismans, they only produced a little smoke. Tiffany Huang shrieked terribly, but sustained no obvious injuries. On the contrary, this only angered her further. Tiffany Huang roared, struggling, then lunged to savagely bite Master Huang. Enraged, Tiffany Huang became extremely ferocious, and in just a moment, she bit Master Huang until he was covered in blood. Master Huang's subordinates also immediately rushed in to assist. Several large men, also Xuanmen masters, still couldn't control Tiffany Huang alone. Master Huang had over a dozen bleeding wounds on his body, yet he still shouted, "Be careful, don't hurt my daughter?" At this point, I was completely powerless, unable to move. But from where I lay, I could see that the blood energy between Tiffany Huang's eyebrows had turned black, completely enveloping her life palace. On that life palace, there was no trace of life energy left. The Black Book said, "Life energy is the root of living people. If the life palace is darkened, longevity is short. If there is no life energy left, it is the sign of a dead person." In other words, Tiffany Huang was dead. Before, she had tried to use guworms to harm me. Now, dying like this was her karma. She deserved her fate. While the Huang family men wrestled with her, someone asked Master Huang, "Master, why are the Huang family's mystic arts and talismans not working on Miss? Could she have been afflicted by dark mystic arts? Continuing like this isn't the way." Master Huang looked at his wounds, then at me, who was still dazed by Lily Zhang's influence. He sneered and said, "Let Tiffany go, I think she wants to suck blood. Bring that brat over here and see." Stabilize Tiffany first. This man was truly venomous. As soon as he finished speaking, two subordinates immediately pulled me up and dragged me towards Tiffany Huang. I had no strength left and could only let them drag me. Sure enough, as soon as Tiffany Huang saw me, she became incredibly excited, her eyes turning an eerie emerald green. She immediately lunged, pinning me down, and opened her mouth to bite my neck. 4 blood-colored fangs sprouted from her mouth. The horrifying sight sent shivers down my spine, but I couldn't move. I wanted to channel the killing chi within me, but I couldn't. It was over. Tiffany Huang bit directly into my neck. Master Huang on the other side laughed gleefully, telling his subordinates, "Quick, go back to the village and bring some Buddhist artifacts. Buddhist artifacts can counteract dark mystic arts. With that brat as bait, she'll be fine for now." The subordinates immediately ran off, while Tiffany Huang's fangs were clamped tightly around my neck, sucking my essence blood. Just then, a black shadow leaped from the bridge railing, pouncing onto Tiffany Huang's back. Her shirt was ripped on the back, leaving several bloody claw marks. "Alex, wake up." "That's right, it's Little Black, he's here." I groggily woke up. Little Black furiously tore at Tiffany Huang, biting her repeatedly. My neck ached violently, but my mind gradually cleared. Master Huang saw a dog charging over and immediately cursed. "Where did this damned dog come from? Get lost." He spoke as he kicked, but Little Black dodged, leaping directly onto Tiffany Huang's back and biting her nape. Her head snapped back, and Tiffany Huang immediately released my neck. I immediately felt some strength return. I gritted my teeth and kicked her in the stomach. She was sent flying. I quickly sprang up, my entire body gradually regaining strength. It seemed the breath Lily Zhang had blown into me had lost its effect. I regulated my breathing, feeling the killing chi within me, and very quickly I was fully awake. Tiffany Huang, thrown by my kick, immediately scrambled up from the ground and lunged at me. Master Huang saw me kick his daughter and immediately roared, "Alex Yang, do you want to die?" "How dare you kick my daughter? Fine, let me give you a taste of the heart-devouring goo poison." With that, Master Huang took out a small black bottle, crushed it, and chanted an incantation. He glared at me and asked, "How do you feel now? Your stomach is starting to hurt, isn't it? Not just stomach pain, but your internal organs will be corroded down to the bone. If you don't obey, you'll be nothing but a withered corpse." He must have seen me holding the remaining bottle of water and assumed I had drunk half of Tiffany Huang's guworm water. I feigned ignorance, asking, "Why would my stomach suddenly hurt?" Master Huang laughed smugly. "Alex Yang, did you really think a young lady like my daughter would genuinely like you? She only approached you to cast a goo spell. The water you drank had over 3,000 goo worms in it. The Hu family's charm art couldn't get to you, but can you withstand the Meow Border's goo art?" Ah, it hurts so much, I clutched my stomach. Seeing this, Master Huang became even more arrogant. "Feeling the power of the goo worms now, aren't you? Even if you only drank half a bottle, you swallowed thousands of goo worms. They've already invaded all your internal organs. Stomach pain is just the first step. Next, they'll eat your flesh and suck your blood until you're nothing but skin and bones. Have you ever heard of a 1,000 goo worm human? That's what you'll become. Scared yet, Alex?" I said nothing, continuing to clutch my stomach, making him focus entirely on me. He had no idea what was about to happen. "It's good that you're scared. I have good news for you too. I don't intend to kill you. To some extent, the goo worms can still be controlled." I feigned agony. "So, what do you want?" Master Huang laughed loudly. "Isn't your grandfather planning to talk about the beauty's coffin today?" I said bluntly. "Just hand over the beauty's coffin along with all its secrets, and I'll spare your life. Young man, you're still young. Your grandfather surely wouldn't want you to die so early, would he?" Master Huang's words, "Your grandfather surely wouldn't want you to die so early," carried a very clear implication. Even if my grandfather was alive, holding me hostage would prevent him from acting rashly. Having said that, Master Huang walked straight towards me. As he drew near, he patted my shoulder, saying, "If you know what's good for you, you should understand your place." But what he didn't expect was that I leaned away from the pat, simultaneously standing upright. Master Huang froze for a second, but quickly composed himself and advised, "Young man, don't be too stubborn. The 1,000 goo worm human will truly kill you." I said not a word, secretly gathering chi into a blood diamond, transferring it into several willow leaves, causing them to immediately turn blood red. Master Huang was still complacent, completely off guard. I immediately launched those leaves at him. The willow leaves whizzed past. At first, he didn't understand what was happening, But immediately after, he saw his stomach begin to seep blood, and his knees throbbed as if carved by knives, then he collapsed to the ground. Seeing the willow leaves pierce his flesh like daggers, he couldn't help but let out a shriek. Willow leaf golden blade? Impossible. How could a brat like you know the magic of a Maotian Taoist priest? Even if you can use this move, you're still afflicted by guworms. This is no different than seeking your own death. I'll turn you into a gu human right now. Master Huang gnashed his teeth, chanting an incantation, forming hand seals, trying to control the gu poison within me. But he tried repeatedly, and I still stood firmly before him, my expression unchanged. Master Huang began to panic, but still spoke defiantly. The Miao Border's heart-devouring goo can make you suffer a fate worse than death. Alex Yang, stop pretending. Let's see how long you can last. I interrupted. You think I'm pretending to endure it? Master Huang, stop deceiving yourself and others. You know perfectly well I'm not afflicted by any goo. In fact, from the moment your daughter gave me the water, I knew it contained goo worms. I poured that half bottle away long ago. I didn't drink a single drop. Even if you break your hand and chant 100 times, it'll be useless. He stared at me wide-eyed. Were you faking it when you clutched your stomach and groaned earlier? I retorted. Of course. If I didn't pretend, how would you get close? How would you drop your guard? How would you get hit by my willow blades? You're the head of a Xuanmen family, a master like you. If I didn't use stratagem, how could I fight back? Hearing this, Master Huang's gaze towards me changed completely. Before, he had scorned me. Now, he had to look at me seriously, reassessing me from scratch. Master Huang struggled to stand, but his knees were ruined, unable to move. He gnashed his teeth and asked, "What on earth do you want to do?" I answered clearly. "You intended to use guworms to harm me, to control me, so I must retaliate. A mild retaliation wouldn't be fitting for your and your daughter's malevolence." Master Huang sneered, sitting on the ground, and pulled out a yellow talisman, clasping it between 2 fingers. "Do you think a mere leaf can defeat me? Let me tell you, I, Huang Tong, am a master of the mountain character Gate's mystic arts, personally guided by a Maotian Taoist priest. Even if I'm injured, you are not worthy to be my opponent." He chanted an incantation. "Heavenly gang, earthly killing, 5 thunder righteous law, 5 thunder talisman." As he chanted, the talisman in his hand began to glow, streaks of lightning flickering and coiling. Before, I had only heard my grandfather recount how ancient Taoist priests could use the 5 thunder talisman to suppress evil spirits. I thought it was just a legend, never expecting it to be real. As he channeled energy into the talisman, Master Huang seemed to regain his confidence. He raised his head. "Alex Yang, if you won't be my pawn, then you must leave your life behind." As soon as he finished, he struck, lightning and thunder emanating. But unexpectedly, Tiffany Huang rushed forward from behind him. The 5 thunder talisman, an item specialized in dispelling evil, illuminated her face, making it both ghastly pale and eerie. "Father," Tiffany Huang called. Master Huang heard and, overjoyed, looked back. "Tiffany, are you all right now?" Tiffany Huang smiled but didn't answer. Master Huang, excited, said, "It's good that you're all right. Wait for father to kill this brat and avenge you." But before he could finish, Tiffany Huang suddenly burst into maniacal laughter and lunged, savagely biting her own father. This time, Master Huang was completely unprepared. Very quickly, the 5 thunder talisman fell to the ground, its light extinguishing. A few minutes later, she finally released him, turned her head to look at me, then dropped to the ground like a wild beast, advancing, her eyes still an eerie emerald green. I looked closely and didn't see any golden ferret on her back, unlike Lily Zhang. Her situation wasn't the same as Lily Zhang's. At this moment, Little Black spoke up, reminding me, "Master Alex, this woman, at some unknown point, became one of your eldest uncle's people. I rushed over just now because I received news from a few dogs in the village. In the west of the village, 2 houses had dead dogs, the kind your eldest uncle raises. They must have tracked the trail all the way to the Red River Stone Bridge, blocking the funeral procession. So that's how it is." It seemed Tiffany Huang's current state was identical to the fake eldest uncle who had attacked me the other day. No wonder I saw her life palace was empty. She had indeed been dead for a long time. The incident at Red River Bridge was highly likely orchestrated by my eldest uncle, Yang Mingtang. The missing sword hanging under the bridge was definitely also his doing. Thinking of this, hatred surged in my heart. If I didn't avenge this, I wouldn't be human. Understanding Tiffany Huang's situation, I also knew what I should do. She was dead, but she could still act because she had enough killing chi on her and, undoubtedly, a golden ferret lurking. Dogs have very sensitive spiritual perception, especially spiritual hounds like Little Black. I instructed Little Black. Little Black, pay close attention, see clearly where that golden ferret is hiding on Tiffany Huang. We absolutely cannot let it escape and continue to harm people. Little Black nodded, leave it to me. On the other side, Tiffany Huang, with her strange green eyes as if seizing in an opportunity, suddenly lunged towards me again. Her movements were too fast, too bizarre, entirely inhuman, but I had prepared beforehand. Before she pounced, I cut a gash in my palm. As she closed in, I twisted my body to dodge, simultaneously wrapping my arm around her neck from behind, tightening it like an iron clamp. I used one hand to lock Tiffany Huang's neck. She struggled but couldn't break free. My right hand, still bleeding, pressed directly onto her forehead. Last time, I had accidentally used this method to drain the imposter of my eldest uncle. This time, I knew exactly what to do. My hand pressed down, and my mouth immediately chanted an incantation to draw out the killing chi. With blood as the guide, with soul as the charm, regardless of good or evil, lead killing chi into the body. Following my incantation in a flash, a large amount of killing chi flowed into my body from the wound in my palm. Tiffany Huang struggled frantically, but as the killing chi was drawn away by me, her body gradually went limp. Master Huang was not dead yet, he screamed. Alex Yang, you beast, let my daughter go, release her now. I ignored Master Huang. After all, his daughter was now unable to move, and he had just been savagely torn at by Tiffany Huang, his internal organs even exposed. He only had half a life left. When the killing chi was almost completely absorbed, I pushed Tiffany Huang away. She fell to the ground like a deflated balloon, lying motionless. A dead person without killing chi is merely a corpse, but that stillness lasted only a few seconds. I then saw Tiffany Huang's abdomen moving. That's right, her belly began to swell, as if she were pregnant, but at a very rapid pace. In just a moment, her dress was stretched taut, as if something was about to burst out. Seeing this, I warned Little Black, there's something in her belly, watch carefully. Little Black nodded, his dog eyes gleaming. Suddenly, the fabric over Tiffany Huang's abdomen burst open, and a grayish-yellow object shot out from within. The moment it leaped out, it immediately turned and lunged towards Master Huang. Clearly, after I had drained Tiffany Huang's killing chi, it was seeking a new host, but Little Black was ready. The grayish-yellow thing had only leaped a few steps when Little Black pounced and clamped his jaws tightly around it. The creature struggled wildly, but Little Black shook his head vigorously, bit it a second time, and swallowed it whole. I had intended to tell him to be careful, as Little Black had almost suffered a backlash last time when he swallowed a golden ferret. But before I could say anything, he had already swallowed the thing. Just like last time, he kept his mouth shut, not opening it for a long time. Moreover, Little Black, originally a black dog, had now turned into a piebald dog. His fur was yellow in some places, black in others, and a larger patch of golden fur than before had grown on his forehead. This situation looked even more serious than last time. I asked anxiously, Little Black, are you all right? Little Black couldn't speak. About 15 seconds later, he exhaled a puff of golden chi, the corner of his mouth curving slightly as he proudly declared, just a golden ferret not even 100 years old, yet it dares to backlash against this master? Trash. Being eaten by this master is its good fortune accumulated over several lifetimes. As long as Little Black was okay, that was all that mattered. The golden fur on him wasn't spreading further. He was probably boasting, but it wasn't too bad. He still seemed to be in control. I turned back to look at Tiffany Huang. She was truly dead. On the other side, Master Huang, half dead, stared blankly at what had just happened. What kind of dark art was that? Why was there a golden ferret in Tiffany's belly? Alex Yang, it was you definitely did this. Your grandfather is a dark master, and you're just like him. Master Huang only had half a life left, his whole body trembling, unable to do anything. I stared at Master Huang and said, so what if I did? Let me tell you, Huang Tong, if your daughter hadn't tried to harm me with guworms, she might not have died. Master Huang was speechless. I didn't bother with him anymore. At this moment, I suddenly remembered that Lily Zhang had also been possessed by a golden ferret earlier, and I couldn't help but feel a chill. Tiffany Huang's death was not regrettable, but something couldn't happen to Lily Zhang. I immediately looked ahead. With no demon-suppressing sword, the resentment beneath the Red River surged, and the fog on the stone bridge was so thick that I couldn't see the situation on the other side, where my mother's coffin and Lily Zhang were. I asked Little Black, how is she? Little Black said. She's fine. I immediately signaled, and the two of us quickly rushed into the thick fog. The place where my mother's coffin was located wasn't far. I hadn't run much when I heard commotion ahead. Very quickly, I saw several of my mother's coffin bearers swaying, almost dropping the coffin, but they were still trying to hold steady, not letting it hit the ground. These people were truly dedicated to their profession, but besides their swaying, I didn't see Lily Zhang anywhere. I ran over and asked, "Where is Lily Zhang?"